Jai Shri Radhe, Day 79 and Varta 58 in the readings from Vraja Kishori Seva Trust of the Dosobhavan Vaishnav Varta 252, Stories of the Vaishnava Disciples of Sri Gosaiji. The story of Pato Gujari, who lived in Anyor, Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of Sattvic disposition. In the eternal Leela, her name is Chapala. Chapala manifests from Manmatmod and is thus a form of her divine loving sentiment. She was born into a family of Gujars in Bhawanpur. When she was only 10, her parents married her off to a Gujar man from Anyor. Sometimes later she moved there. She was initiated with the Lord's name by Sri Gosaiji. She was in love with Srinathji, Dev Damanji, from this, her childhood age. She would daily go to have his holy sight. Sri Govardhanaji recognized the purity of her love and graced her profusely. Sometime later, she gave birth to 2 sons. Sri Govardhanaji would personally visit Pato's home. He would ask of her whatever he wished for, such was his grace upon her. He would also play with her 2 sons. Why? These 2 boys are cowherd lads in the eternal Leela. One's name is Narua and the other one Garua. Part 1. One day Pato was taking a rice and yogurt packed lunch to her sons in the forest. She was going home from her home to the forest. Sri Govardhanaji was standing in the shade of Sri Giriraji by the side of the Sri Govinda lake. She was walking past that place with the picnic in her hands. Sri Govardhanaji asked her, "Oh mother, what is in the packet?" She replied, "Oh son, it is rice and yogurt." Sri Govardhanaji asked her for whom she was carrying the picnic, and she replied that it was for her sons who had been in the forest since the morning. In the morning, no breads were ready for them to take with them, so they set off without eating. That is why I am taking the packed lunch to them. Sri Govardhanaji told her that he was very hungry. It would be very nice of you to feed it to me. Then Pato Gujari replied, "Oh, my son, my boys must be very hungry." Srinathji requested her to feed them with some more rice and curds that she had at home, but to feed him with the packed lunch that she was carrying. Pato Gujari said, "So Sri Govardhanaji, oh, please do have it." He replied, "Please serve it to me in my own plates." Sri Govardhanaji led her to his temple, and she walked behind him, and they entered therein. The doors to the temple were open, but the door guard was asleep. Pato entered the inner temple, found Sri Govardhanaji's plate, and served him the lunch in it. He ate it up. When she had fed it him, she came home. Bhav Prakash. A doubt arises here as to how Sri Govardhanaji would accept that lunch which was intended for Pato's sons, and why did he take her inside his temple in the break between services to feed it to him there? This is not normally the way of Sri Acharyaji's path of grace. Why did Sri Govardhanaji do like this? Here it is said that Pato Gujari and her 2 sons had a direct connection with Sri Thakurji. They were also inhabitants of Sri Vraja. Sri Govardhanaji considered them as his own. He thought of them as his companions. When Sri Krishna was manifest on the earth, he would often steal his cowherd companions' lunches and even their leftovers. Here, Sri Govardhanaji was captivated by Pato Gujari's love for him and played with them in that exact same way. In that period of a break between services, this is considered to be the time that the Vraja devotees make their seva to the beloved Lord, and so therefore Sri Acharyaji did not establish the habit of fanning the Lord or other services at that time. Pato Gujari is considered to be a Vraja devotee and so was granted this privilege, seva, by Srinathji. Thus it was that he took her into his temple at that time and ate what she had brought. Know this therefore to be exactly as Sri Acharyaji had outlined as the way of the path of grace and not at all opposed to it. Part 1 continued. Sri Govardhanaji ate the rice and yogurt, and the lines made by his fingers could be seen in it. That plate stayed right in front of him with a little bit of rice and yogurt in it. At that time, for the afternoon Uttapan Seva, Sri Gosaiji bathed, climbed up the Giriraji hill, sounded the conch shell and entered the temple. There he saw a plate in front of Sri Govardhanaji and the marks made by his little fingers in the plate. Sri Gosaiji was a little disturbed to see this, and he called out to the doorkeeper, "Rupa Porya, O Rupa, who has been in here?" Rupa replied, "Oh Maharaj, nobody came as far as I know, but I had fallen asleep for a bit. For that amount of time I cannot say. No one came in front of me." Sri Gosaiji realized that this was all up to Sri Govardhanaji. He considered Rupa never falls asleep. So why did he fall asleep today? This must be the play of the Lord. Sri Gosaiji decided that this must be the reason, and he asked Sri Govardhanaji, "Oh Baba, from whom did you demand this lunch that you have eaten it?" The beloved Lord replied, "Today I ate the rice and curds that Pato Gujari fed me." Sri Gosaiji kept quiet. Part 2. One time, Pato Gujari came for the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji. He was having his lunch and the temple doors were closed. Pato Gujari began to complain to him. She said, "Oh, here, you sit like a king. You close the doors when you are eating so that no one can see you. You are a real lord now. No one will let me in." She said lots of things in the same mood. Then the doors to the temple opened up. She entered and went to Sri Govardhanathji's side. From that day on, whenever she came to have his holy sight, she would get in to see him by going back over and over. In fact, nobody ever stopped her. She would enter the temple and have the sight of the Lord as she pleased. No attention was paid to the time she came or what she was wearing. So strong was her relationship with the Lord. Whenever extensive and fancy offerings were made to Sri Govardhanathji in a kunwara, then her whole family came to sing to him and she received prasad as their reward. That concludes Varta 58, the story of Patu Gujari, which is a tale so special it is difficult to recall. Only he knows the truth of her story. She was a recipient of Sri Gosaiji's grace and an accomplished Vaishnav. Aaj ke Anand ki Jai. This concludes the reading for today. We continue tomorrow. Sab Vaishnavan ko Sadar Saprem Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.